Welcome, guys, to Real Reviews, your number one place for the best reviews and reactions to your favorite shows, movies, music, and more. This week has been a pretty tough week. There hasn't been a whole lot of electricity for some reason. I am in the East Coast, shout out to the East Coasters, and for some reason we had lost power for like the majority of like almost 2 days, and it was pretty surprising. There wasn't any rain or any storm. The weather wasn't terrible, but for some reason, I guess something down the line or whatnot had caused us to lose power. So we were movieless. We were movieless. We were Wi-Fi-less. We were unable to charge our iPhones for a damn near 2 days, man. It was getting pretty ridiculous, but finally the power came back. So first thing, obviously, get everything back up and running, and obviously get a good movie on. That was like a priority. That's what better after a few days out of power and whatnot than to sit back, relax, and put a good movie on. So we were skimming through the channels, just a regular live TV, regular television, and I had noticed this one film that stood out to me a little bit. It was with Michelle Pfeiffer. I saw Michelle Pfeiffer. I'm a big fan of Michelle Pfeiffer. I was a big fan of her in Casino. Was she in Casino? Yes, in Casino. I was a big fan of her in Casino, and I also was a big fan of her in Scarface. I liked her a lot in Scarface as well. So I definitely checked it out. And then Harrison Ford came out. Harrison Ford came out and came into the picture. So I was like, wow, what is going on here? So I checked it out, and I looked at it, and I was like, wow, okay, decent reviews. Not a huge following or reception, but decent reviews. So I said, let me check this film out. And man, do we have a lot to talk about. Man, do we have a lot of positive things to say about this film. The film is called What Lies Beneath. It is a 2000 supernatural thriller film about a husband and wife being afflicted by some kind of spirit within their home. Starring obviously Michelle Pfeiffer and Harrison Ford. It's spoiler friendly in the front, spoilers in the back, obviously. But yeah, spoiler friendly. I mean, it goes without saying. Let's go ahead and give this thing a real review seal of approval straight out the bat. Yes, sir, that's right. This thing was just 100%. Such a great film. Shockingly, a sleeper. Such a surprisingly good. But anyway, so the film follows a mother. Spoiler friendly here. No spoilers here. The film follows a mother who's experiencing empty nest syndrome. So she's going to counseling. She's struggling with the fact that her daughter is no longer in the home. And that she's living with a husband who she is aware has had at least one affair. So she's by herself. She's kind of your typical housewife, submissive, and she's being afflicted by a spirit. That's what it is. She's being afflicted by some kind of entity, and it just escalates from there. But yeah, great acting by both parties. I mean, when you have names like Michelle Pfeiffer and Harrison Ford on the roster, I mean, obviously there's not going to be any issue as far as acting or tone setting, as far as that kind of stuff is concerned. The horror and the thrill was excellent. It was excellent. But it wasn't in a way like jump scare heavy or horror like Jason heavy. It was a very slow, subtle, realistic horror. Some of these scariest scenes of the movie were so hardly anything was happening, but you knew on the surface. Obviously, on the deeper context, a lot was happening, but the horror is set up very, very well. It is a slow burning film. It is a longer film. It is, I believe, 2 hours, a little over 2 hours. So be prepared for that. But it's worth every second, and it's definitely worth full commitment to the film. Cinematography is excellent. It looks like it was filmed this year. It looks like it was filmed in 2018, 2019, but it was filmed in the 2000. But the cinematography definitely has held up. Even today. I mean, it looked like the camera work was HD. Very, very good stuff. Definitely check this one out, guys. It's no longer in theaters, but definitely check it out on Blu-ray or HD or Dolby or any kind of enhanced viewing experience that you got. If you don't have that, then just check it out. Definitely want to watch this one with your girlfriend or your family, man, because this is one that'll make you jump out your seat, and really make you want to see the thing to completion despite the length. So anyway, now into more spoiler reviews. So Yeah, when I first saw the film, I wasn't really sure what was going on. I read the synopsis of it is pretty vague. Was pretty vague as far as the TV is concerned. It's kind of just like women, a wife is dealing with an entity or something in her home, and so I was like, okay, this is gonna be like a ghost movie. I had on the surface level, I thought it would probably be like Poltergeist or Hand That Rocks the Cradle. I thought it was going to be kind of a contained residential horror film about this woman being subtly harassed by a spirit. I was wrong. I was wrong. I was wrong. It is a much larger, much better film than that, and opens up in ways that are very, very unexpected, but very, very welcome. So, Michelle Pfeiffer is a wife who is feeling lonely. She's feeling lonely. Her husband is very into his career. He's very more into his career than her, to be honest with you. I mean, and that includes regular affairs with his coworkers. So she stays at home. Her daughter, her daughter. This is a stepfather, but her daughter is off to college or something. So she's alone, and she's starting to feel these things are starting to appear to her, like ghostly visions, feelings of dread. Like she's starting to feel all these things, and one day she believes that the ghost is trying to tell her that her neighbor is the spirit of her neighbor's deceased wife, and trying to tell her that the neighbor had killed the wife. So she confronts the neighbor. Obviously it goes poorly, and it turns out that that's false. So she's like confused. The husband suggests she goes to counseling, that she might just be losing her mind. She agrees to that as well. She goes to counseling, and that's that. She starts to get a little bit of remedy on the situation just by going to counseling. That is a theme that is touched on many, many times in the film and done so well. The theme is like, is she crazy, or is this actually happening? And even at the end of the film, you're not sure. But there are so many films that attempt to kind of set that up. Like, is the twist going to be this woman holding a knife and she's the one killing everybody, or is it genuinely a demonic entity? But obviously done in a lot more realistic way in this film. There's hardly any blood. There's one scene with blood in it, and that's about it. But yeah, so she starts to kind of accept that it's just all in her mind. She tries to begin being better to her husband, being more open with him, and all that kind of good stuff. To which he accepts. He's not the nicest guy, but he's a hardworking, obviously a rough man. But he accepts it, and she kind of moves forward. But the apparitions begin to happen again more physically. So there's one scene in particular where the ghost uses the bathroom to steam up like half of the house. So Michelle is in there cooking, minding her own business, and then she notices half of the house is foggy, like she can hardly see in front of her. And this is a great suspense scene, because she's like, it's not jump scare heavy, it's not anything crazy, it's just her navigating through her home and with rooms filled with steam, so she kind of can't really see what's happening, and it's very nerve-wracking. But she gets a message written to her in a mirror in the steam. So she freaks out again, obviously. And Harrison Ford says, okay, we're going to go ahead and take you to, we're going to take a vacation, because Harrison Ford kind of starts to get a sense that maybe something is possessing them as well after he's attacked in the bathtub. But yeah, this is a great, how do I say it? It just draws you in, because you're like, what is happening? What is going on? Like, it just throws you back and forth, where every time this woman seems to get closure on the fact that, oh, maybe she's crazy, this ghost appears to remind her that you're not crazy. There's something that needs to be done. This ghost is identified as a young woman, who's trying to tell Michelle Pfeiffer that something needs to happen, but she doesn't know what. But she believes a woman is murdered, obviously, because it's her spirit. But so they say screw it. So they go and take a vacation to a beach house and whatnot. And this is when the movie, in my opinion, takes off. I mean, in a stellar way. So they get to this beach house, and Michelle Pfeiffer is back at peace, kind of not really being afflicted by the spirit, until one day the spirit pushes her into like a lake. And there's like a river by this vacation home, and the spirit puts her in the water. And while she's in the water, she sees something in the water, and it leads her to believe that, okay, it's something to do with this woman. So Michelle Pfeiffer tries to tell her husband about it, and her husband is insistent that, okay, you need to relax, we're here on vacation, blah, 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 blah. So Michelle Pfeiffer's like, fine, whatever, and she keeps it moving. But the spirit is not letting up, and Michelle Pfeiffer at this point is open to the advances of the spirit. She's like, what is she trying to tell me? The spirit leads Michelle Pfeiffer to a box within the home, and she goes into this little lake house, and she finds this box with a bunch of jewelry in it, women's jewelry. So she's like, what is all this women's jewelry? So she grabs it, and when she grabs it, she's able to kind of understand that this jewelry or this items are the items of a murdered woman, of a murdered woman that was in the home. So Michelle's like, wait, what's going on here? So Michelle Pfeiffer goes and checks. It turns out that this woman is a woman who was having a young student, who is having a young professional, who is having an affair with her husband. The husband is a psycho. He killed her. And that's that. That's the huge twist. Beautifully set up and beautifully executed. You did not see it coming. It came out of left field. So it turns out that the reason why this ghost is assailing this woman and constantly and telling her, oh, like, you have to do this, what's going on, like, you have to stop this, blah, 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 blah. The reason why is because this ghost was murdered by her husband. Crazy twist at the end of the film. I mean, and so well done. You did not see it coming, but it's done well enough for if you were to go back and rewatch the film, you would see the cues, you would see the hints, and you would see the all the setup for it, and you would appreciate it that much more. It wasn't done poorly. If you have not seen the film before, I guarantee you will not see it coming. So Harrison Ford is the killer. Her husband is the killer. She tries to confront him. He admits that he did it. He says he'll call the police. He fakes like he calls the police. He drugs her with chloroform. He paralyzes her. He puts her in the bathtub to drown her and make it look like she overdosed, just like he did with this other woman and potentially other multiple women. Crazy stuff. So she's dying in the bathtub, and Harrison Ford is telling her, like, not even telling her. Another great way they did this film with the subtle realism is that he's not even like crazy. Like, it's weird. He's very obviously Harrison Ford acting as a maniac. I mean, you can imagine how that goes. I mean, Harrison Ford captures that emotionless, soulless, cold callousness of a psychopath so well. And so he's literally just talking to her, waiting for her to die, looking at her, kind of leaving the room, coming back. And she is trapped in the bathtub, unable to move, and the water level is slowly rising up to her nose level to drown her. She is trying to undo the drain pipe with her foot, but obviously having a trouble with that. So Harrison Ford comes back, and when he comes back, he notices that she's wearing something. So he's like, what are you wearing? And very cold, very psycho way. He's like, what are you wearing, And he checks her neck, and it's a necklace of one of the dead women. I think the main dead woman. And when he touches it, he feels her presence, and he gets scared, and he slips, and he falls. He knocks himself out on the sink, and giving Michelle Pfeiffer about 2 minutes to figure something out. So she's able to undo the drain, and then she escapes. And while she escapes, so Harrison Ford disappears. Harrison Ford also escapes. So she's able to get into a car, to a truck. And so she leaves, and she's driving away, thinking that she's escaped. I mean, at this point, you think, okay, she made it. She's going to go to the police. She gets close to that river that she was pushed in, where she believes these bodies are. And Harrison Ford is hiding in the bed of the truck. He jumps out. He busts the window, and he grabs her. So he's trying to kill her. They veer off the road. They veer into the water. It's crazy. So while they're in the water, Harrison Ford obviously gets the best of her and is drowning her. As he's drowning her, she's submissive, so she accepts that, okay, she's probably going to die here. She says to him, please don't hurt my daughter or something, to which he agrees, because he's for professional and whatever reasons, he doesn't want to kill the daughter. But he agrees, and you think that's it. And then this is the best part of the movie for me, in my opinion. So while she's dying, she's accepted that she's dying. Harrison Ford is just drowning her. Obviously, she's nothing she can do about it. You see this thing floating in the water. You see this thing floating in the water towards them. And you're like, what is that, And so they look, and it gets closer. Michelle Pfeiffer turns her head, almost out of life, and she sees it. And she sees this, like, beautiful woman, like this beautiful young woman. She sees this, like, beautiful young woman, and it's kind of almost like it was like an angel coming for her. It was really nice. And then Harrison Ford turns and sees the same thing, but Harrison Ford does not see a beautiful woman. Harrison Ford sees this monster, this, like, this monster. And it's like, what? So Harrison Ford freaks out, and this woman grabs him, holds him, frees Michelle Pfeiffer, grabs him, holds him there. He's paralyzed. As soon as she grabs him, he can't move. Just like he did to all these women or whatnot. So he's paralyzed. He looks her right in the face. She looks at him, this horrible monster. Michelle Pfeiffer does not see a monster. She's like a nice woman, so she's not afraid. So she leaves. Harrison Ford gets dragged down into the lake, in the truck that's sinking, dead. And then this woman just kind of, after he's dead, you see this woman just kind of let go, and she continues to float on down the river. And this was such a great scene because, once again, you're not entirely sure if this actually happened. Was this actually, because it is showed that Harrison Ford is stuck in the car. He has his leg pinned. So you're like, did this woman actually come to help in spirit? Or is this just Harrison Ford feeling remorse for what he did, and then Michelle Pfeiffer leaving the vehicle? You know what I'm saying? And then Harrison Ford, pinned down to the truck, gets dragged to the bottom and drowned. Who knows? You know, that's the film leaves that up to interpretation so much, and that's such a great theme throughout the film. Is this real, or is this in the minds, or is it like a nice perfect blend of both? But all subtle, all realism. I mean, it just gets better and better, and then the film obviously closes with Michelle Pfeiffer receiving closure. She was having a little bit of that empty nest syndrome. She was feeling loneliness. Now she feels comfortable in her loneliness. She cares about herself, and she cares about her daughter, and that's about it. So she's given peace. And Harrison Ford obviously is dispatched. The serial killer is dispatched, and the dead woman is given closure. The movie ends, and it's a beautiful movie. It's a beautiful feel-good ending to an otherwise terrifying movie, but there is great closure at the end. So What Lies Beneath, man, sleeper classic. Definitely recommend this to anybody. Definitely want to check this one out, man, and definitely real review certified. I mean, this is a classic film. This is something that if you watch it once, you're gonna want to watch it again. If you're a movie collector, you're gonna want to get it on Blu-ray. Definitely want to check this one out. But anyways, yeah, guys, remember to like, share, and subscribe. That's pretty much all I got for you today. I'm going to be putting a lot more content on here. I know I keep saying that, but I plan to. I have I have damn near 10 videos queued up, ready to upload. Just putting the final finishing touches on those, and then those are going to be good to go. So be sure to send any art submissions, any ideas, any designs, any logos, anything like that to reelreviewsandreactions@gmail.com. That's reelreviewsandreactions@gmail.com. Real having 2 E's. But anyways, guys, What Lies Beneath? Have you seen it? What do you think about it? What do you think about these videos? Feel free to leave that in the comments. Feel free to like anything, and feel free to subscribe and become part of our Real Review family. Y'all have a great rest of your day. See you on the next one.